Welcome. This is the new way of teaching, apparently, during the viral apocalypse. So, this first presentation is mainly just welcoming you to the new way of teaching. Wanted to practice a couple things here. The lectures are not going to be just me sitting here talking and you watching me just talk. I'm going to have some PowerPoints I'm going to present with voiceover. I'm going to have some whiteboard possibly with me solving problems on it so you can see how the mathematics works. This might actually work pretty good because you can go back and rewatch things you didn't get very well. You're going to have to read the book. I'm not going to be able to cover quite as much as I normally do. I normally like to see people and get some feedback just by body language, watching you like look confused or not, and then I go back over the material a little better. So I'm not able to do that in this format. I'm going to do the best I can. We are going to have occasional live sessions through Blackboard Collaborate, and that's going to give us an opportunity to get some feedback, and then I can explain things a little bit better that way. But I have no idea exactly how this is all going to work just yet. I've not taught an online class. Most of y'all don't have experience with online classes, and so we're kind of all feeling this out ourselves. And so I'm thinking that this will be a good way of starting this, and therefore, as we all learn a little bit more and get more familiarity, we can adapt and maybe start rolling out new technologies and new things that we're doing. But this seemed to be the simplest and easiest way of getting started, and that's why I picked it. I'm trying to post some of these things on YouTube because I think a lot of people have easier access to streaming videos on YouTube than they do perhaps through Blackboard. YouTube you can actually access through smart TVs, on your phone, etc. So that should give you a little bit more options as to what to do and how to follow. So hopefully that will help us out somewhat. As I said, I will be posting things on Blackboard. I'm going to be posting other sort of files on Blackboard. I'm going to be posting more information. I'll post links to these YouTube videos on Blackboard as well, and hopefully that will give you a chance to keep up. Each video is going to be fairly short. It's going to be a few minutes about a particular topic, and normal class time is an hour and 20 minutes. So if each video is like 10 minutes, that's going to be like 12 videos, equivalent to one lecture in class. Breaking it up that way allows you to watch a segment at a time, kind of go back over it, string it together, look at it again, try to explain what's figure out what's going on, and so forth. And I think maybe that'll make it a little bit easier on you. It also, since you're doing a lot of this stuff at home, there's other distractions, and so rather than sitting for an hour and 20 minutes with one lecture, you can do a few minutes at a time, then go do something else, come back, do a few minutes and so forth. So that's kind of the plan. This may change as we go. This is all new territory for all of us, and hopefully this will try to make the transition a little bit easier for everybody. I'm posting some things online already. Expect probably this first week back to be just catching up and barely staying on top of things. This past week was kind of frantic for faculty, having meetings, video meetings, online meetings, emails, as everybody was trying to figure out how to roll out online implementation of all of this and what to do about the labs. So we're still working on all the details. I don't expect this all to be worked out for some time. So in the meantime, everybody, y'all just stay safe, stay in, don't get sick, and when this is all done, we'll kind of maybe all see each other again sometime on campus. I'd like to point out that often when I'm teaching first semester physics or the solar system class, we talk about Isaac Newton and the laws of motion. And how does that relate to anything that we're doing right here today? Well, Isaac Newton originally had gone to the university to study theology. And while in those days, theology was what it is today, they also required students to take a lot of math and what they called natural philosophy, which was basically science in those days, a study of how the world worked. And so he had studied all these things, was thinking about it, and they thought math was good discipline for the mind, and so theology students learned a lot of math and natural philosophy because they thought, theology students are supposed to be studying about theology and God, and they thought, well, this is what God created, so this is stuff that you got to be learning. And so then what happened, though, was the plague hit. Yeah, sounds familiar, doesn't it? Okay, so the plague hit, and what happened was that the college basically closed down. Again, sounds kind of familiar. They sent all the students home, sent the faculty home. And now in those days they didn't have internet. I mean, this was like 1600, so they didn't have internet. They just sent everybody home and said, whoever survives the plague, come back in a couple years, we'll pick it back up and restart your degree. And so while Isaac Newton was home, though, during the plague, he was in a rural area. They had orchards and trees, and so what he did was he just sat out there and looked, and he thought, and he saw squirrels, and the squirrels would jump from one branch to the other, and he tried to figure out, well, how did the squirrel actually do that? And he started thinking about gravity pulling down the squirrel, force as the squirrel jumped, it pushed down on the branch. When the squirrel landed somewhere, landed on a branch, pushed down the branch, but the branch pushed up on the squirrel. And he started thinking about the laws of motion. And then he thought about, well, you got the earth and you got the moon going around the earth, and what makes the moon go around the earth? And he thought about gravity. And so he started working out the details of motion and gravity during this plague. And when he finally went back to the university, he got his degree and became really very famous. And part of what made him very famous was the work that he did while he was on break and figuring out how motion and gravity worked. And so I'm not expecting you necessarily to figure out motion and gravity and major discoveries in physics or astronomy, but if you do, that's fantastic. And for right now, we're just kind of following in very famous footsteps when he had to go home and study all this stuff on his own. So I'm going to be trying to help you because now we have the internet, so I can give presentations, lectures, and get you started. You are going to have to read the book. You are going to have to do a little more work on your own than you normally would have done. We're still trying to figure this out. We're going to try to make this as easy as possible for you. Thank you.